Hey everybody, welcome back to Pop's Place Garage. Today we're going to do some paint prep on the old 86 Corvette again. I've gotten a little bit done. I started working on the rear quarter panel, and I noticed that body trim was going to be in my way on the doors and the rear bumper, so I started taking that off. And one thing led to another, and I figured I might as well take that rear bumper cover off to do a good job, get some clean edges, and fix a couple places that were bothering me on that. It had a little bit of a crack between the fiberglass and the rubber rear bumper, just a tiny bit, and to really fix that properly I needed to take the bumper off anyway, so I went ahead and pulled it off. You know, these old 80s bumpers, they get those spiderweb cracks in them. If you guys have ever owned an 80s car with old yellow rubber bumpers on them, bumper covers, you'll know that they get those spiderweb cracks in them. They're a pain in the butt to fix, so having this bumper off will allow me to really get in there and fix those right. So I've got it off, as you can see here behind me on the table. You got to be real careful with these rubber bumper covers once they're off. If you have them out in the sun all day, they will get soft and they'll start to move around. So you've got to have them supported to hold the shape. Otherwise you get yourself in trouble having them off. So I'm going to go ahead and bust this thing down in 180 until I get all the clear coat off of this thing, because I was having problems with the clear coat delaminating. I'm going to get all those cracks out all the way to the rubber if I can. I'm going to hit this thing with some adhesion promoter and then some 2K urethane primer. So follow along with me today. I'm going to get a little work done to this rear bumper. Here's my rear bumper on the table, and a closer look here, you can see all the clear coat just gnarly on this thing. It's sun-baked, so I started to take it down. You know, I've gotten more than half of it done already. Right here, when I zoom in, you can see those spiderweb cracks I'm talking about. They actually come from the rubber. It's just due to age. These things weren't very good. The material wasn't very good on these things. They all do this. All those 80s yellow rubber bumpers do that. So to try to get rid of that, where it was the worst, I went all the way down to the rubber. I'm going to hit it with some putty. Try to fill in the cracks as well as I can. Then hit it with some adhesion promoter. I may even put some flex additive in my primer to try to keep from doing that again. Now, those cracks were all the way around. They were onto this part, but this was really the worst spot because you can still see them in the rubber right there. So that's what I'm up to. Here's a good look at the back of this Corvette with the bumper off. That's where the fuel tank sits. So this is that little spot that I was talking about. A little damage in the fiberglass, just a little bit. So now with that off, I can fix that. This is actually a hair or something right here. That's not a crack, that's a piece of fiberglass hair. It's kind of a little crack just right on the top side, not too bad. I'll get that fixed up. Also, my antenna wasn't working and it was broken off, so all the bumpers off, I have a chance to replace that antenna. So I've got it off in there. I went ahead and took this weather stripping off right here with the rear glass seals. That way when I paint this thing, I can paint all the way to up in here and have a nice clean edge. You won't see any paint edge when I'm done. This also makes it a lot easier for me to mask. When I do this rear quarter panel section, you know, I'll be able to take the door off, tape off the top hoop, tape off the inside of the luggage compartment, and then, you know, there's nothing here. I can go all the way to the end, and then I can mask it off somewhere in here. Most of this is covered up by a piece for the gas splash deal. It's got a little rubber insert that goes into here, and then it's got a big thing that bolts on here with a hinged lid. And we'll get to that when I get to the mirrors to refinish them. You can see that's really starting to smooth out. The edges are getting feathered. That clear is coming off. You can really see the clear coat because it turns bright white. So that's kind of what I'm going for. I want all the clear removed. And any chips or scratches obviously will feather out by the time that clear coat's gone, because most of the damage wasn't that deep. But I'm looking for spider web cracking. You know, I don't have much back here. This is where the Corvette emblem goes. And it had taken quite a bit of abuse over the years, being taken off and put back on, you know, in pride. So I got that out, you know, and this thing is soft. This is rubber. And as I'm sanding on it, it will give. It'll move out of my way a little bit. So I've got to be careful. I can't put a lot of pressure with that DA or else I'll cause a lot of waves. Now, these things aren't perfectly straight anyway. You know, these old rubber bumpers, they'll be a little wavy from the factory. So I'm not worried about getting it absolutely perfect, but obviously I want it as good as I can get it. So I think what I'll do is once I get this thing prepped and sprayed with a good heavy 4 coats of that 2K primer, I'll bolt it back on the car and block sand it by hand on the car. That way the bumper is in the shape that it's always going to be, and I can try to block sand some of those waves back out. Because to block sand it straight right now would be, you know, it'd be kind of pointless because it's not in the shape that it's going to be. And it'll get a little stronger once it's bolted to the car. It won't give quite as easily. It won't be as soft. So I'm going to continue sanding on this thing and get it in some primer.